Hey guys, Dr. Kyle here with another Michigan Family Wellness Radio Blast. Well, everyone, it's Friday. It's been a long week of work, especially after the Father's Day weekend. The 4th of July holiday is right around the corner, and it is summertime in Michigan. It's one of my favorite times of the year, but along with all that sunshine comes a lot of sunscreen, which is what the Radio Blast is all about today. Many of my patients already know this, but I want everyone listening to be mindful of the products they're using and the ingredients they contain when it comes to choosing makeup, deodorant, soaps, lotions, and especially sunscreen. The truth is, whatever we apply to our skin is almost like we're eating it, but instead of going through our gut, those compounds and chemicals are being absorbed directly into our bloodstream via the skin, and some of these ingredients are serious neurotoxins. So if the kids start to act weird 15 to 30 minutes after they lather up with sunscreen, or even immediately after, you definitely want to bring them into the office to get their nervous system checked, and we can also test the sunscreen or the spray sunscreen that you're using to see if it's causing or possibly contributing to health problems for the kids. By the way, that's another great point. This may seem like common sense, but I've seen this happen. Do not let the kids have their mouth or their eyes open when spraying the sunscreen or when another kid is spraying the sunscreen for them. Our bodies have an incredible amount of sensitive neurological receptors in our mouths, and those can be significantly damaged by inhaling a spray sunscreen, not to mention the getting sunscreen in the eyes. That's also not a good idea. This reminds me of the saying, work smarter, not harder. Be smart, people. I want to avail everyone to worrisome ingredients like oxybenzone, which is a hormone disruptor. A little bit more on that later. Also, retinol palmitate, which is a form of vitamin A that may harm the skin. And despite scant evidence, the government still allows most sunscreens to claim that they help prevent skin cancer. So I want to share with you guys 8 little-known facts about sunscreens. Just a little commentary here. The rate of melanoma, which is a diagnosis of skin cancer, it is increasing. The consensus among scientists is that sunscreens alone cannot reverse this trend. Yet a good sunscreen can play a role in preventing sunburns that are a major risk factor for melanoma, provided you use the sunscreen correctly. Sunscreen should be just one tool in your arsenal, and we're going to talk more about what else we can do specifically with nutrition to add to that tool to help prevent against skin cancer. So, like I said, these 8 little-known facts about sunscreens will help you spot problem products and avoid getting burned. Number 1, there's no proof that sunscreens prevent most skin cancer. Rates of melanoma, the most deadly form of skin cancer, have tripled over the past 35 years. Most scientists and public health agencies, including the FDA itself, have found very little evidence that sunscreen prevents most types of skin cancer. Number 2, don't be fooled by the high SPF. High SPF products tempt people to apply too little sunscreen and stay in the sun too long. The FDA has proposed prohibiting the sale of sunscreens with SPF values greater than 50 plus, calling higher SPF values, quote, inherently misleading, end quote. But it has not issued a regulation that carries the force of law. More than 10% of sunscreens evaluated by independent labs this year advertise SPF values greater than 50 plus. So again, listen for my keynote at the end of the episode here about that. Number 3, the common sunscreen additive vitamin A may speed development of skin cancer. Okay, here we go. The sunscreen industry adds a form of vitamin A to beach and sport sunscreens. Also known as retinol palmitate, which is an antioxidant that combats skin aging. Okay, so we know it's an antioxidant. But studies by federal government scientists indicate that it may trigger development of skin tumors and lesions when used on skin in the presence of sunlight, okay? So we have something that's inherently good for the body, again, at the right level, in the right time, the right sequence, the right place. But when you have the compound retinol palmitate or vitamin A on the skin in the presence of sunlight, it can be actually something that does more harm than good. All right, we continue. Other governments warn that cosmetics may contribute to unsafe amounts of vitamin A and recommend against using vitamin A-laden cosmetics on the lips and over large portions of the body. I recommend to my patients that they avoid sunscreens, lip products, and skin lotions that contain vitamin A, also called retinol palmitate, retinol acetate, retinol linoleate, and retinol. Number 4, European sunscreens provide better UVA protection. Okay, so in Europe, sunscreen makers can formulate their products with any of 7 chemicals that filter UVA rays. American manufacturers can use only 3 UVA filtering ingredients. They have been waiting for years for the FDA approval to use sunscreen ingredients widely available in Europe. The FDA has asked the makers of European sunscreen chemicals for more safety data, but until the FDA approves these ingredients and lifts restrictions on combining certain active ingredients, American consumers will be hard-pressed to find sunscreens with the strongest UVA protection. Number 5, sunscreen doesn't protect skin from all types of sun damage. SPF measure protection from the SPF, that metric measures protection from sunburn, but not other types of skin damage. The sun's ultraviolet rays also generate free radicals that damage DNA and skin cells, which can accelerate skin aging and may cause skin cancer. American sunscreens can reduce these damages, but not as effectively as they prevent sunburn. People can run into problems if they pick a sunscreen with poor UVA protection, or when they apply too little, or when they reapply too infrequently. Okay, so you got to use a good quality sunscreen. You got to apply it, more than once, especially if you're spending several hours out on the beach or in the sun. And again, guys, this especially applies to our kids. We want to set them up for a good, long, healthy life, and we don't want to see these increasing melanoma rates, especially in the little ones. We continue. Sunscreen companies commonly add SPF boosters that inhibit sunburn but may not protect from other damages. The FDA should strengthen its regulations to ensure that sunscreens offer the best possible skin protection. Number 6, we're getting close. Some sunscreen ingredients disrupt hormones and cause skin allergies. Okay, so this is a major deal. We have the Female Hormone Symphony coming up where we're going to talk all about hormones, but I want to avail you guys to this major point here. There is no perfect sunscreen. Americans must choose between, quote, chemical sunscreens, which have inferior stability, they penetrate the skin, and they may disrupt the body's hormone system, and, quote, mineral sunscreens made with zinc and titanium, often micronized or made up of nanoparticles. Some sunscreens also contain inactive sunscreen ingredients that may trigger allergies. The FDA needs to consider new evidence about the ill effects of sunscreen ingredients, okay? So again, I would much rather have someone use a sunscreen than not use a sunscreen and take the risk of getting all that unprotected sun exposure. But again, be smart here, people, with the kind and the type of sunscreen that you're choosing for yourself and for your family. Number 7, mineral sunscreens contain nanoparticles. Most zinc oxide and titanium dioxide-based sunscreens contain nanoparticles 1/20th the width of a human hair to reduce or eliminate the chalky white tint that larger particles leave on the skin. Based on the available information, I give a favorable rating to mineral sunscreens, but the FDA really needs to restrict the use of unstable or UV reactive forms of minerals that would lessen skin protection. Okay, so what am I saying here? Again, back to my point that I mentioned earlier. Basically, you guys, I would rather ask your liver to do a little bit more work, to process a little bit more, chemicals that are less ideal, okay, than to take that chance of spending time outside in the sun without protection. And again, guys, especially for the kids, it's not worth the risk. Use a good quality sunscreen and have that protection. And ask your liver to do a little bit more. Again, this goes along with the healthy lifestyle, which we're getting to right after our last point here. Number 8, if you avoid the sun, check your vitamin D levels. Okay, so this is a major deal. When your shadow is as tall or shorter than you are, sunshine causes the body to produce vitamin D. So basically when the sun is kind of over top of you, casting a shadow, and your shadow is about as tall or shorter than you are. Okay, but here's the thing. When your shadow is taller or longer than you, you're not making any vitamin D. The angle of the sun is at the wrong angle. You're not synthesizing vitamin D when your shadow is taller or longer than you are. Furthermore, when you apply sunscreen, just that act of applying the sunscreen on the skin inhibits the synthesis of vitamin D, which is a critical body function. As you know, vitamin D is technically a neurohormone, which strengthens bones and the immune system and reduces the risks of breast, colon, kidney, and ovarian cancers, and perhaps other health conditions, other health disorders. About 25% of Americans have borderline low levels of vitamin D, and 8% have a serious deficiency. People with darker skin and people who have limited sun exposure, so basically everyone living in Michigan, are at the greatest risk for vitamin D deficiency. Many people can't or shouldn't rely on the sun for vitamin D. Check with your doctor to find out whether you should get a vitamin D test or take seasonal or year-round supplements to support healthy vitamin D levels. Again, these are simple things that we can do in the office. As a licensed Michigan chiropractor, I have the authority to order blood testing to check the levels of vitamin D in the body, and I am fully equipped with the most potent and bioavailable sources of vitamin D to help correct those levels. As a final thought here, along the lines of nutrition, calcium, vitamin F, and a specific form of vitamin K2 are essential for vitamin D absorption. So if you're just taking vitamin D off the shelf from GNC or Walmart, it's probably the wrong form, and it probably does not have the proper ratios of calcium, vitamin F, and the specific form of vitamin K2. So here's what I'm saying. Even before you go outside and start using sunscreen, make sure that your biochemistry, make sure that your body is supported from the inside with these nutrients, with this nutritional medicine, and that you've supplemented with the proper forms and dosages of calcium, vitamin F, vitamin K2, and vitamin D. So, to sum up here are some do's and don'ts, some things to look for and things to avoid when it comes to choosing a sunscreen. Do look for ingredients like zinc oxide and avoid oxybenzone, vitamin A, and even insect repellent like DEET if you've seen that on some insect repellents. Do look for products that are cream-based, lotion-based. They have broad spectrum protection and they're water resistant with an SPF between 15 and 50. Avoid all of the sprays, avoid the powders, and avoid anything with an SPF over 50. Guys, the information I'm sharing with you today comes from EWG.org. The Environmental Working Group's mission is to empower people to live healthier lives in a healthier environment. A central tenet here at Michigan Family Wellness is that chiropractic care and nutritional-based therapies are a foundational part of creating happy, healthy families. So if you're ready to elevate your family wellness, visit us at MichiganFamilyWellness.com. And if you navigate to the dedicated show notes page for this episode, you'll find a downloadable PDF that explains what to look for and what not to look for when choosing a sunscreen for you and your family. And remember, we can do far more together than we could ever do apart. Coming to you from beautiful Southeast Michigan, I'm your host, Dr. Kyle, and this is Michigan Family Wellness.